Hey guys, it's Taylor. As a listener of Fearless, you have come to recognize its distinct style. Long-form storytelling featuring a lot of characters and stylized writing and music. Well, nothing's changing, but we're adding something new. In your Fearless feed, you'll start seeing episodes for Fearless Unscripted. It's a new series we're doing on our channel where we sit down and have conversations with different people, faculty, alumni, staff, and students. It's all about their Texas Tech story. I hope that you listen and learn something. In our first episode of Fearless Unscripted, we're talking with Tiara Williams. She graduated from Texas Tech in 2020 after competing for a couple of years on the track and field team. Since then, she's become a popular influencer and social media host for her show, Real Talk with T. She interviews athletes of all ages and sports, telling their stories, sharing their victories and challenges. She is inspiring and strong, determined. She's passionate about what she does. This is Fearless Unscripted. Can I just say, this is the first episode of Fearless Unscripted, and I cannot think of a better person or somebody that I would want to do this first episode with than you. I am so just proud of you and who you are, and it's really a cool experience for us to kind of merge our podcasting together here. So welcome to Fearless Unscripted, T.
Thank you for having me, TP. I'm so happy to be here with you, especially with you.
Oh, no, I know. So we go way back. Let me think. Met you, I think, for the first time in like 2018? 2018. Okay, so you're recently transferred to Texas Tech from Bethune-Cookman, right?
Yep.
Track and field athlete. You're a new up-and-comer for this program. Tell me what brought you to Tech in the first place.
Oh, good question. So I wanted to leave my school because it didn't have a lot of resources. And my family was like, if you move, it was my second school by the time I went to Kansas and I went to Bethune. And she was like, my family's like, if you move back, if you change schools again, you have to go to Texas. Like you have to be in Texas, or else we're not going to support you. I'm like, oh my God, okay, fine, I'll move.
Because you're from Texas. You're from Texas, yeah.
I'm from San Antonio. So my Texas Tech just called me. Coach Thomas reached out to me when I was one of the first athletes he got from the transfer portal. He reached out to me. We connected so well. We had a great relationship like right off the bat. And I was like, I want that to be my multi-coach. And I came all the way to Lubbock from Florida.
And it was the best decision ever.
For sure. Best decision ever. I figured out what I wanted to do with my life. I got more into my passions. And of course, I had the results on the track. So it was the best of both worlds.
And so I was asking you a little bit earlier, what's the best way to describe you? You're a social media personality. You're a podcast host. You're an up-and-coming broadcaster. You're a former, like we said, Texas Tech track and field athlete. I feel like you talk about coming to Texas Tech and discovering your passions and figuring out who you are. How would you kind of describe yourself and as you have established what those passions are, the way that you've been able to kind of create a name for yourself in that industry?
I would probably describe myself as genuine, just good energy, happy, smiling, just trying to bring good vibes and like that's pretty much it. I don't know.
No, but I think that that's exactly right. And I feel like that personality that you have is it's something that people pick up on immediately, right? And I really think that that's part of the reason that you have become so successful in this sort of realm of interviewing, track and field athletes at all levels. But when you watch these interviews that you have with, NCAA athletes and professional athletes, there's just this like really natural chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel like? What do you feel like that comes from? Because when you watch these interviews, I'm like, they love T. They love to come to you and they love to come talk to you. Where does that chemistry start for you?
It starts with the approach. That's what I've learned from the jump. Like a lot of media don't know how to talk to them as a human, as just a regular person. So that's kind of, I think, what separates me. Like, for example, my first media opportunity came at Prefontaine 2021. And I had an interview with Sha'Carri after all of the madness that she experienced that year. And one of the things I said before I even talked, I was just like, being a Black woman from Texas, like myself, she's like, oh, you're from Texas? And her guard immediately went down. So like just finding those things where you relate to them and just approaching them as a human has been my best benefit.
Yeah, I agree. And I want to talk about one of the most recent experiences that you've had, the one that's probably the most timely. You just got back from Paris. You talk about that moment in 2021. You're kind of like at the very beginning of your career. And now here we are, 3 years later, and you are at the pinnacle, right? You're at like the highest level. What is that moment like for you to be there and to just be like, did you feel like you'd kind of like made it almost? Like it's
No,
sort of like an unreal moment, right?
no, it was super unreal. Like that was the best trip of my life, like hands down. But just like going from the last Olympics, Tokyo, I was fresh out of college. I couldn't even watch it because I didn't have no subscriptions, no money. You fresh out of college. So
Right.
from going to that last Olympics to this one and being in the stadium, it was mind blowing. Like out of body experience, I will never forget like the moments I had in Paris for sure.
Tell me what you got to do there though, because you didn't just go, I mean, you went and you participated as a spectator, but you also had an opportunity to do some other kind of cool, unique things. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so the interviews is the main thing. So I got
Right.
a golden opportunity from Puma to host their Paris house. So they have a Puma house. They rented out a whole hotel, and it was a stage. And I got to really host three different panels for Puma and just help their athletes be comfortable, have fun, and we played games like. It was a good time, and then of course, I did like a few other interviews with medalists as they win. I would reach out to them and see if I can get some time with them. So it was definitely was still working, but yeah, the Puma House experience was top tier. That brand is amazing.
I had a chance last week to talk to our girl Lana Jones from shout out to Lana
Hey,
from
Lana.
Texas Tech Track and Field. She's the director of operations, and she's someone that we have obviously done a lot of work with. But she got a chance to be in Paris too, and she showed me all these videos, and she's like, it like doesn't do it justice. Like she said that when she was there, she just had goosebumps the entire time. How do you describe like just how vast those spaces are, and like you watch it on TV and there's no way that it can compare to what it feels like to actually be there and to be in it.
Definitely. I mean, I just try to take it one day at a time, be in the moment, and just soak it all in. Because like
Yeah.
it's I'm living in prayers I'm living in answered prayers. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is where I've been wanting to get my whole
Yeah.
life, and like I want to just soak it in and just be live and be in the moment. But
Mm-hmm.
no, it's I go home at night. Every night I would go home and just be like, wow,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
what am I doing? Like this is crazy. And then I wake up the next day and I'll just do it all over
Yeah,
again.
I know. You literally are living like this the best life ever. I mean, it's like hardly even a job, right? To be
Yeah,
there
for
and to be
sure.
able to do that.
For sure.
I can imagine that for you though too, it maybe feels a bit like work, but it also feels like you're watching these people compete that are like your friends, right? You know them well. And
Definitely.
we talk about how big of a stage this is, this sort of iconic time, right? The Olympics. How do you how do you even talk about the pressure that comes with that from those student athlete standpoint? Like there's so much weight that they carry. How do you even, I mean, how do you even have a conversation with them about that?
That's why it's all about that's why I approach them a certain way because I understand that this is the biggest meet of their life. Some of their first times representing their country. There are only a few of them. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think they just, you can't make it bigger than what it is. It's a regular track. They have to keep it as a regular track meet in their mind because
Yeah.
track is 99% mental. So I just approach them on like, how are you doing? What'd you do today? Like, how's the village? What's been your favorite part so far? I always start off
Yeah.
with those lighthearted questions first, and then I'll get into like, you have a few days before you racing. How are you preparing? How are you
Mm-hmm.
getting things in order? Like, and how are you managing the pressure? I'll get to that pressure question because it's obvious. Like
Yeah.
everybody knows there's a lot of pressure, and a lot of them just kind of try to make the meet to be smaller. Like this is a regular
Yeah.
meet. I line up every week.
Mm.
I race these people all year round. It's literally the same thing, but just more eyes watching.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit too about, we talked about the Olympics. Let's talk about the Olympic trials because the way that you were able to kind of serve NBC in this like on camera sort of broadcast role, was that maybe like the largest capacity that you had served as sort of a host up to this point? Or how would you kind of describe what that experience was like for you?
Yes, I agree. I think that is the largest capacity, especially with the Olympics. It's the Olympic trials. So there were a
Yes.
lot of more eyes of people wanting to know who's going to make the team, who's going to do what. So that was definitely a dream come true. That was the like pinnacle. It was definitely another pinnacle of my year,
Hmm.
just working with them. They were so smooth to work with and so caring and supportive. And that's what all I look for is somebody to be supportive. So that was definitely, it was like NBA All-Star and then Olympic trial. So those
Yeah.
are my top two of the year so far.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think about too, like, how did they even, isn't it crazy to think that they even found you? Like that you're just doing this thing, you're just doing this thing that you love, and it takes off in such a huge way that NBC comes to you and they're like, we want for you to do this on our social media platforms. Like, that's a really big deal.
Definitely. And they have they're women strong. Like all the ladies that I've been talking to from NBC are women and they love to support women. On Her Turf is a great platform where I shared a lot of content with as well. And just altogether, I think women just loving women. Like I got my first time working with them was last year in November for a Team USA shoot. They flew me to LA for one day. I got to be, get content with the athletes that were doing like a little Team USA tour and photo shoot and stuff like that. And that was our first time working together. So it's kind of just that building on a relationship that we already
Hmm.
had established. But yeah, I top tier, 10 out of 10 for sure.
What is, what's the most important thing to you about just that idea of like women serving women? Like empowered women are empowering others to like know their place, to take their place, like not only in a broadcast realm, but just like as professionals too.
Super important. Like I always get messages from girls like, T, how do we do this? I want to do
Hmm.
this. And I take every call because to give the game is free. And women, we
Mm.
need to support women. I'm a girl's girl. I love women. I love girls. Like it's just in me. It's just a part of who I am. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's very important. We need each other. Like
Yeah.
the gender roles are real
Hmm.
life. I've learned that in being a young professional that it is real. So I do my best to support women in any way that I can because like we need each other. We got to stick together.
It's that idea of like giving back, right? Yeah, and
Yes.
knowing that like there are people who have helped create opportunities for you, and maybe not even helped create opportunities, but like have helped get you into a place, whether it's like with your mentality or whether it's with your skill set, or with job opportunities. Like, yeah, I love that.
Just like you. Just to let y'all know, guys, this is full circle. While I was at Texas Tech, I got the chance to shadow Taylor,
Hmm.
and she really gave me the kickstart about this whole broadcasting, sideline reporting, and just being a journalist. Like you gave
Hmm.
me my kickstart. So like it's always life always comes around full circle, Like
It totally does.
I just remember doing stand-ups on the football sideline and you like, okay, see, that was good. But like, and I will never forget those moments, girl. Like you really fed into me as a young athlete. And like I will never forget that. So I just
Mm,
want to give you your flowers real quick, Taylor. I love you.
I
Thank you so
know.
much for thank you so much for letting me tag along.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And I appreciate that and I'm humbled by that because it's cool to think about, the people that helped me along my way and helped me get to where I am and to think that like I was able to pass that on. Like that's what is most important. I have this image of you literally like we would do media availabilities with the head track coach Wes Kitley, who's like the best in the entire world. But we would do those at the indoor track, and I remember like you would ever so often come and you would just kind of like shadow and watch us ask questions, and like being in the lobby at the hotel when I would edit, and you would just like sit with me and I would show you stuff, and it just like, yeah, it really does it like it's so worth it. It's so worth it to like give of yourself in that way and to give of your time. um
Yes.
and
And you
I
never
just
know how
you
it's going to
never
impact
know.
somebody.
Hmm.
We didn't know at the time, but like I was just soaking it all in, just listening to you, getting all your tips, your tricks, and your notes. And like now I'm just using it as I'm going on my journey.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I think at the time, like, it wasn't, it was like your effort that you gave is what made you worthy. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you saw the hunger.
yes. And it's so cool now to be here, however many, 5, 6 years later, and I still see that, like it's still who you are. And I think that that's part of the reason that you will like go on to be really successful in this is because you just have this desire to like move and to bring people along with you. And that is like so real.
Definitely. Thank you, my girl.
Oh my gosh. Can we talk a little bit more about, speaking of strong women, I want to talk about a couple of people in particular that you competed with. Well, there's more than two that you competed with when you were here. We talked about Lele, we talked about Monae and Ruth. Tell me what it's like to get to watch them compete at the Olympics.
Gosh, it is like so I'm so inspired by them constantly, constantly, like especially Lele with no sponsorship, and she's literally running with women who have so much more support than she does. Like
She's sewing her own outfits, are you for real?
yes,
I know.
like, but I'm constantly inspired by all of our Texas Tech athletes. Like people don't know, but I am ride or die Texas Tech. Like
Yeah.
when I go to NCAA's, even athletes I don't meet, I just go meet them like, hey girl, I'm with Texas Tech, I'm an alum, and just know I'm gonna be your biggest fan every
Mm-hmm.
time because like I want to support all of my Texas Tech people. I know how it
Yeah.
feels to be in that facility dying at practice. But no,
Yes.
I'm constantly so inspired by all of the Texas Tech athletes, all of the women, Monet, Rosemary, Ruth,
Mm-hmm.
everybody. Like I'm just their biggest fan. I just pat them up, root for them, and I just want to see them do the best they could do every time. But
Yeah.
I love those ladies.
And you kind of paint this like really sweet picture of Ruth. By the way, Ruth Usoro is one of the most pure and precious people that I've ever known, right? And
Same.
she is wonderful. And you told this story, and I want you to tell it again here. About when you guys were competing together. You're both Texas Tech track athletes. She's obviously a big deal, but she showed up for her teammates in like the best way. And you described her earlier. You said she's the best teammate that I have ever had. Why?
For sure. Ruth is the best teammate I've ever had because her ability to motivate and speak life into you is like better than anyone I've ever met. Like that is one special lady. She would come to cheer us on in the multi in the morning when she has to do her competition in the evening. A lot of people didn't show up because they got to work, they got to do their job later on, which we understand, but that's not the case for Ruth. Ruth is going to come, cheer, clap, do whatever she got to do to support her teammates. And that's what makes her just that's another attribute because she has so many that makes her just a special woman. I would always love Ruth, like top tier woman.
Yeah. And it's so cool to see such good things come for her because she works so hard and she's just such a wonderful, wonderful person.
Yeah, she is.
I think that, I think about sort of where you're at in your professional career. And what's really unique and powerful to me is the fact that you're doing this thing that you love about, but you're not doing it just because you love it. It's like you are serving in a place where you like want to see better.
Yes.
Tell me what you want as you sort of grow in your platform and as Real Talk with T continues to kind of like get bigger and bigger. Where do you want it to go? What do you want it to do? Like, what are your goals for this platform, just holistically?
It's such a good question, and I always struggle with it because the trajectory has been wild. Like this is my third year of putting my all into my platform and like look where I am. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely hard for me to like pinpoint exactly where I'll be because like I'm a big believer in God and I know that He got a plan that I'm bigger than anything I could think of. But I definitely want to be on TV, sideline reporting, getting them fresh off the track. I feel like I can bring a lot of more entertainment to the track space on TV. So that's kind of what I'm leaning more towards. And I also want to have my own talk show, do a couple seasons, couple episodes, just have special guests come on and we'll do fun activities. We play games, we do competitions, like all that type of stuff. I'm just real entertaining. I want to be entertaining, but I also want to get their story across as well. I'm so invested into people's story
Mm,
because everybody has one of how you
yeah.
got to where you are. So those are my two main goals off the top of my head that I really am passionate about and I really want to get to.
We talk about you wanting to give and like give back to the next sort of generation of young women. What is the thing that you wish you could tell a young T if you could go back?
Oh, that's such a good question. I would tell her, keep going. Don't be caught up in what your situation is because I've come from a tough background. Don't be caught up in what you see that you forget about your future, you know? So I would tell her just, girl, you doing it. You don't even know it, but you doing it.
I love it. You're just a joy. And if anybody's listening to this and you haven't had an opportunity to go and learn more about Real Talk with T, there's links to Instagram and YouTube here in the show notes. T, I just love you. And I am just so proud of who you are and what you've done. And not necessarily the success that you have had, but the person that you are. And I'm just really looking forward to all the ways that you're going to grow your brand and more importantly, the people that you're going to help along the way.
Thank you so much. It means so much coming from you because you were my first ever mentor. So I love you so much.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
Yes, I love you down and thank you so much, girl. This is only the beginning.
Only the beginning. Keep doing great things. Keep doing great things, T. I love you.
Thank you for having me.